Hello everybody, this is Nick with O3 Drop. So I've been a little bit busy this past week trying to come up with really good deck ideas for the post Mecha Frieza errata. So definitely look forward to those decks coming up in the future. And also, I am very close to 100 subscribers, so remember, whenever I do hit that 100 mark, I am going to be giving away a foil Fu. The only thing is, you do have to be a subscriber and you do have to live in the United States for shipping reasons. Sorry, Europe. But something that I wanted to talk to you guys today about is Danny Hype's deck from this past regionals. Now, this was not a very fun regionals to watch, honestly. It was just Mecha Frieza everywhere, and it was not a fun Mecha Frieza everywhere either. Just watching someone double March of the Apes on turn 2, I mean, honestly, I cried for them. It was pretty awful. So, looking forward to that errata. However, in the meantime, Danny Hype had a really interesting deck that dealt with the Mecha Frieza pretty well. So I definitely wanted to go over that today and give you guys my thoughts on it. So as you can see, he did use the SS3 Goku leader, which you may or may not know I'm a huge fan of. Now, his main deck is basically black, blue, red, and yellow. To be honest, the two black cards he used are Scientist Fu. And if you've seen any of my videos so far, you know that I love this card. Basically, getting a 25k double strike out for 1 mana or 1 energy is just beautiful. So I love it. Plus, you get to draw the 2 cards. Who doesn't want 2 extra cards in their hand? So I love this card. I'm really glad he included that into the deck. He also put the Masked Saiyan in the sideboard, which, especially against the Veggie package, I really like as well. So those are the 2 black cards that he chose to put in his main and sideboard, and honestly, they're both really good choices. I'm not sure how much he actually pulled the Masked Saiyan out and put it in the main board, but again, the reason he only has 2 black cards in the deck is because you never know what you're going to flip on that turn 1, and you don't want it to be a black card. Anyone who's played this Goku knows how painful that is. So then his blue package is literally 7 cards. He's got the 4 Piccolo Super Combos, which pretty much everyone who's not a new player should know about. And then he's also got the 7-drop Zeno. So the 7-drop Zeno is a really good way to basically clear the field, whether it's because your opponent has barrier, or maybe they just get a ton of stuff out like the Veggies package does. Zeno basically just wipes everything except for energies. Cough, cough. And, with that, you know, your opponent gets 5 cards, and so if you're playing against a Mecha Frieza, a lot of times they'll get themselves down to 1 or 2 life. You get them down to 1, use the Zeno. They have 5 cards to try to defend themselves from the Zeno attack. And the other thing is, especially if you end up drawing into a Scientist Fu, or even a Saiyan Kaba, depending on how much life you're at, you can swing with the Zeno, they use their stuff to try to stop that, and then surprise, here's a Fu or a Kaba for game. So I think this is definitely a good card in this deck. Again, he only runs 7 blue, and honestly, he never wanted to put those down as energy. If one of these gets flipped on turn 1, it's kind of a sad time for him. But, you know, obviously you do need all 7 of these in your deck if you're going to play this style. So going over to his red package, he has the same Kaba. I definitely like it. With this deck, I don't think it really matters how aggro you play. So even if you end up awakening your opponent on their 2nd or 3rd turn, like, it's not a big deal, especially if you're using Kaba to do it, because then you're going to awaken yourself. So I really like the 4 Kabas here. Now, he did say that he still had a hard time awakening sometimes, because what happens is a lot of players at your locals aren't as experienced as some of the players that you see at regionals. And so at his locals, he just had the 4 Kabas plus the 1 Goku. And I think he actually mentioned that he might have had more of the Gokus. But the thing was, at his locals, people were more aggressive and awakening him a little bit easier. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, and we'll talk about that later on whenever I talk about changes that I would make. But either way, Kaba is a great card in this deck, as is the Gohan, which is the next card we're going to talk about. So with this deck, if you're awakened whenever it's your 2nd turn, you can go ahead and tap out to play this Gohan, and that's something that I really like about this. Also, the fact that you get it on turn 2 instead of 3. It's so strong, because in a lot of decks, like Pain, for example, on your 3rd turn, when you're at that 3rd energy mark, you can't necessarily tap out to play this Gohan. And so it almost makes it unplayable to a certain extent because of that. Because if you tap out to play this Gohan, depending on what you're playing against, you could be in a lot of trouble. So in this deck, though, even tapping out if you're already awakened, it just doesn't matter because you're going to get those 3 energies back at the end of your turn. And this does either give you the option for double strike or to draw the one. So yeah, it's a beautiful card. If you don't have these, try to pick some of these up. I think when I got them back in the day, they were like $12 a piece. They were down to like $3 a piece back in December. I honestly should have got something. Makes me kind of sad. But then we move on to the Fearless Pan. Now, this is one of those cards that I've put it in a few decks since it came out, but I feel like I personally never get the value out of it that I would want. I think anyone who plays this card has that dream of having like 4 or 5 red cards on the field and then playing it and just swinging it with double strike all day. I never get to live that dream, but it's still a really good card because it still has blocker, it still has barrier, and it still does give everything 5k and double strike for the turn. So he only runs 3. I think that's a really good number. I think 4 would be kind of pushing it just because you don't need it. It's not that important to the deck. But I do like this SS3. It is also a free 5k combo, so it's not a dead card in your hand. Now, the Chain Attack Trunks, this is really what makes this whole deck go. One thing that I saw Danny do was he evolved the Chain Attack Trunks into a Chain Attack Trunks. To be honest, I never really thought about doing that, but it was pretty glorious when he did it. So I have to give him credit. That was really cool. A lot of people play the Quick Rush Trunks, the 2-drop, just to get, Trunks out on the field that they can evolve into. That's not a bad way to go, but just playing this leader, you have that 1 extra energy, so you get to that Trunks a turn faster, so you really don't need that. And having those 4 extra slots in your deck for other stuff, I think is a lot better, especially whenever we have stuff like Topo. So with the Chain Attack Trunks, though, this is your whole combo for the deck. So if you didn't get a chance to see Danny play, go find the VOD of it somewhere. It's on Kitchen Table Meta's Twitch channel, I believe. So you can go watch the VOD on there. But basically, the whole point of this deck is normally around turn 4 or 5, after your opponent has their monkeys and everything set up, or their veggies set up, you Chain Attack Trunks, and you bring out the Zeno, and it just board wipes everything. Doesn't matter if they have barrier, doesn't matter, nothing matters with the exception of if they cold bloodlusted, obviously. But yeah, so the whole thing is you want to get this Trunks out, and then you want to pull Zeno to just board wipe everything and start attacking their leader. So the next card that we're going to talk about is the Topo. With how quickly this deck awakens and how quickly Mecha Frieza usually awakens, this Topo's cost goes down to 2 pretty quickly. And with your ability to untap 3 energies at the end of your turn, plus the fact that none of the stuff in this deck costs more than 4 to play, and Trunks is the only one that really costs 4, because you're never going to play this Goku as a battle card. Normally, at the end of your turn, unless you're trying to go all in or something like that, you should have at least 1 or 2 energies open before you untap your 3. And so, of course, that is after turn 2 or 3 or so. But, so basically, you end up having enough energy to use 2 different Topos, or maybe a negate in a Topo, or just anything like that. And when this Topo comes out, that's a free 20k beater that you have. And, if you end up having this out, plus maybe a Gohan or something else, and then you Fearless Pan, it can start stacking up, and it's going to overwhelm your opponent a lot of the time. Now, one of the few 10k combos in the deck is the Goku. I've talked about this card before, too. I absolutely love this card. With this, basically, whenever you combo with it, it's a 10k combo, it costs 1, and you draw a card. This deck is a little bit different than my own Monkey-Ku deck just because it doesn't become free in this deck. But with the way the Goku works, it doesn't matter. You're untapping 3 energies at the end of your turn. You can spare 1 to combo this. It's not a big deal. Even without playing Senzu Bean in your deck, this is still a really good thing to have in here. And it is also a red source if you really end up needing that red energy. So the bad ring laser is something that's really interesting to me because he put it in his deck because he wanted to avoid cold bloodlust. And so whenever I was watching, I honestly assumed at first that he just had 1 in his deck. And then I saw him with 2. And I was like, okay, so he plays 2 in his deck. And then later on, I saw a third one, and I was like, oh, so Danny plays 3 in his deck. I like it. Honestly, I have never put 3 Batarangs in a deck before, but in a deck like this where you have to get your combo off, you want to have the Batarangs to be able to do that, because anyone who plays Cold Bloodlust is going to be playing at least 3 usually. And if they see that you have a one-shot combo like this where your whole point is to get Trunks into Zeno, they're probably going to side in their 4th to try to stop you. So having the bad ring laser, if your opponent isn't expecting it, it can just blow them away and they'll just have no idea what to do at that point. And normally you just get to resolve the Zeno. Most mechas aren't running bad ring laser. They might start after this regionals because of that, but a lot of mechas aren't running bad ring laser. So if you do this to their Cold Bloodlust, like, it's probably just going to get through. Now, Crusher Ball is kind of interesting. I can definitely understand why he does it. It's basically another negate. I feel like it's kind of useless against the ape matchup though, and so I don't know how I feel about it, because anytime someone's playing apes, whether it's Mecha or SS3, they're going to more than likely be untapping at the end of their turn. And so I'd almost rather sideboard the Crusher Balls, so that way you can have something a bit better for yourself in this matchup. Whether it's another bad ring laser, or maybe even another Zeno, or just another pan, like anything else. Again, I feel like it's super useless against apes, except for maybe just discarding for the bad ring or the flying Nimbus. But I can see how it could be very useful. You know, your opponent's going to bring out a Kale, you can Crusher Ball it. Your opponent's going to bring out some other stuff, just Crusher Ball it, you know. So I definitely see the uses for it. I would just personally rather have something else. So the Flying Nimbus, he runs 4. There's no Whis in this deck because you don't ever want to charge a blue. So I agree with the Nimbus, and I really like it at 4 because it gives you plenty of negates. Between this and Topo, you're going to stop plenty of their attacks. Remember, your whole goal is to live long enough to chain attack Trunks. Like, that's your whole goal. And normally you're going to want to wait until you have the 5 energies, because you're going to want 4 for the Trunks, and then you're going to want 1 for the bad ring. So having Nimbus plus Topo, I feel like really helps to make you live long enough to be able to use them both. You know, the Trunks and the Zeno. Now, with the Planet Vegeta, I honestly feel like he mainly put this in just to have yellow sources to charge and to discard for bad ring and flying Nimbus. The only reason that I might keep this in is knowing that it can search out chain attack Trunks, because Trunks is a Saiyan and he does cost 4 or less. If it wasn't for that, I probably would just take all 4 of those out. Even now, when I make the deck, because I will be making this awesome deck, I'll probably take out 1 and just run 3. I think I would really rather have at least 1 extra no opening Son Goku, even with the Kaba, just to make sure I can awaken. But yeah, so the important thing here though is if you take out 1 or multiple Planet Vegetas, make sure you're trying to replace it with something yellow, because you need the yellow in your deck so that way you have stuff to charge and to discard. Because if you like switch this out for some other red card or something, then you could end up not having enough yellows to, you know, use your Nimbus or your bad ring laser. So make sure if you do take 1 or multiple of these out that you do have something to put back that's yellow. So then we're on to the Youthful Bulma. This is basically Yellow's version of Majin Buu that came out with this set. I'm really glad they came out with this. I'm probably going to try to get these in foil if the price has not jumped up dramatically after this regionals. But so yeah, it's just 5k combo, cost 1, draw a card, pretty basic. The no opening Son Goku. I still see questions about this both on YouTube and Facebook. So just because your leader is not yellow doesn't mean you can't use it. He doesn't come to the field after you combo with it, however you can still take the life. Now the other thing to keep in mind is that taking the life is optional. So even if you don't want to take the life, you can still combo with it on your turn, because it does say up to 1. So just because you use it doesn't mean you have to take the life, and just because your leader is not yellow doesn't mean that you can't. So you can, and you don't have to. So talking about the sideboard, I've already kind of went into the Mass Sane a little bit. I really like it against veggies or anything else that wants to stack the field against you. Honestly, even against Pan, I think that would be a really good thing to side in. I'm not really sure why he put in Assassination Plot. For 4 energies, I would much rather be playing something else. Like, I'm sure there's some other kind of removal that he could have played. Honestly, I might have swapped that out for 3 of the Champas, the ones that you combo with and it gives you double strike. Because if you go to swing in with Zeno and they're at 2 life, they're not going to negate it more than likely. And so you can just Champa that bad boy, and now he's got double strike 25k. So I might switch Assassination Plot with Champa if I play the deck, because I don't think it's worth it. 4 energies for that is just not, yeah. So he has 3 Jirens. Obviously Jiren is another really good way to get rid of your opponent's monkeys. I like the Jirens in the deck. I assume he would probably take out the Pains in most cases for them. My one problem is that Jiren costs 4, and if I'm paying 4 energies, I'd probably rather be using the Trunks. Now, having said that, again, Jiren is a really good way to take out the monkeys, because you swing in, his first attack goes up to 30k, so even if it's the King Vegeta, honestly, he's the ringleader. If you can kill their 5-drop King Vegeta, you can start getting at their other monkeys. And so just using the Jiren, swinging in, and they can't kill it with the Goku either. So on your first attack, if you swing with Jiren, they can't use the explosive Goku combo because Jiren automatically stands back up. And so you can actually combo with the Jiren, because a lot of times, even if you swing at their monkeys or their leader, you don't want to combo a lot into a battle card because they can just Shugesh into explosive Goku and kill your battle card. But with Jiren, on his first attack, he stands back up immediately. So they don't get that chance to Shugesh Goku kill it. So if you swing with Jiren for 30k and combo, the Goku or the Piccolo into it to make it 40k, that Frieza player or that Apes player has to beat 40k fair and square. They can't just Goku and cheat out of it like they like to. So I do like the Jirens in the sideboard. I'll probably keep those. The Ghost Attack Goat Tanks, I feel like that was just one of those things where he maybe didn't have anything better. He can't play it off the Trunks. He literally just has to summon it for 5 energy, and I'm not really a huge fan of that either. I'm not sure what I'd probably put in for that. I'd have to think about that a little bit more, but I would find something else. Yeah, I'm not sure what else I'd find, but I'd find something else for that, because I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't want to pay 5 in this type of deck. Now, he has 1 extra Bad Ring and 1 extra Crusher Ball in the sideboard as well. I like both of those. Again, I don't mind the Crusher Ball. I think I'd sideboard all 3 just in case. Especially against black decks. Like, if you're playing against a Mass Saiyan deck, or I guess maybe a Mira, but probably more Mass Saiyan because it's heavily played compared to Mira. A lot of the stuff that they play only comes in for 1 turn. So they play it down, it's there for that 1 turn, and then it goes back to the warp afterwards. So if they play it down and you Crusher Ball it, then they literally just wasted it, with the exception of if it's like Mass Saiyan or something like that, because then they get to pop stuff either way. But, they don't get to attack with it still, so it's basically a negate. Now, the final card in his sideboard is the Mecha Frieza. Now, this is the one that it kills 2 rest mode battle cards. Honestly, I might mainboard this. Like, I might take out the 2 Crusher Balls and mainboard this, and then take out 1 Planet Vegeta and put in another Goku. Here's the thing, right? So, it only takes 2 yellow, which you should have plenty of yellow to charge to have 2. And it kills 2 rest mode battle cards, and it forces them to waste a Cold Bloodlust on something that's not Trunks. So, if you swing in with your Goku, and, they end up blocking with something and you don't kill it, with the exception of if the 5-drop monkey is out, you can kill their other monkeys with this. Now, it does say choose, so if King Vegeta is out, you need to get rid of him first. But also, in any other deck that spams stuff on the field, this is still a really good removal. So if you're playing against Pan or any kind of veggies, this still gets rid of their stuff. So, you know, if they attack you with it, it's probably dead on your turn. Just because you're going to discard one card from your hand, they're both dead. He's got dual attack and double strike for that turn, so you can swing in with him multiple times for double strike. I definitely like this card. I will probably mainboard it unless I can find a better yellow to put in. So yeah, so overall, I really like this deck. Now, just so you guys know, I will be recording matches this Thursday night. So either probably Friday or Saturday, you'll have some more actual gameplay videos. So look forward to that. Also, let me know what you think about this deck. I'm really glad that someone played something other than Mecha Frieza at the event. Because this is definitely an interesting deck that I'm glad I got to talk about. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. You know, what changes would you make? What cards do you think would be really good in it? Or maybe you just have a better version of it. Let me know in the comments. So again, thanks you guys for watching. Have a great night, and I will see y'all later.